2 weekends ago, I had both of our small boys to myself. One is 3, almost 4. Another one is 1.5. We had a big morning plan. It's not often that mom is out of town, and so I was kind of excited for this little adventure we were about to go on. We were going to go to the zoo. We're going to go eat some really good food, add some outdoor activities planned for the afternoon. The whole thing was going to be an adventure. I got them both dressed. They had breakfast. The morning was going really well, and we were ready to head out the door. So I unlock the back door. We start heading out to the garage, getting their shoes on, and I notice that the youngest one has pooped. And for parents, you know how common this is you're trying to leave, and of course, one of them poops, needs to go to the bathroom. You're going to be on time to now you're going to be late. But we told my oldest son, "Hey, get your shoes on. I'm going to go change the youngest diaper, and we're going to get the show on the road." I go inside, start changing the diaper. I hear our oldest son making some noise, but I don't think anything of it because that's not uncommon at all. And as I've gotten the diaper off of our youngest son, I hear a noise, and I know what that noise is. That noise is the garage door opening. I get our youngest son, put him underneath my arm, nothing on, start sprinting out to the garage. I get out there, get our oldest back in. He's figured out how to open the car doors, climb in the car, and press the button to get the garage door to go up. It was innocent on his part. He's just, going to open the back hatch and he was going to load up some stuff because he's this independent self. And nothing bad happened in this moment, but it caused this little bit of anxiety. And the moment stuck with me. I thought about it. I laughed about it. I thought about how much you take for granted when my wife is here and we've got double coverage essentially. And we had a plan, and so I was doing great, but then things all of a sudden didn't go as planned. So single parents do this all the time with multiple kids, and things are going well. You've got all the stuff lined out, and then all of a sudden something goes off the rails. With two parents or with a plan, there's built-in redundancy, there's protections, there's the lock on the back door, there's one parent with one kid, one parent with the other kid. There's all of these things that create a cohesive system that works together really well. But then you remove one, and now there's holes in that system. Or you have a bump in the road, you have the door get unlocked, and now there's a hole in the system. Things like this happen every single day in small businesses. Everything is fine until one person is out sick for an extended period of time. Whether that's the bookkeeper, whether that's an admin taking a vacation, whether that's the owner being out of town. All of these things seem to set off a domino effect of broken things in a business. Suddenly invoices don't get paid, payroll's out late, and the bank account is lighter than expected. Good people think they know the right things. They have all the passwords. They know how to do the invoicing process. They know what the bank normally does, what that looks like. And they're built on the goodwill of those people. But that is extremely fragile. And when you only have one person that knows how to do things, you might as well have no people that know how to do things, because one small bump in the road and all of a sudden you're scrambling. In families, this is what parenting looks like. It's figuring all these things out. It's coming up with these plans. It's making sure you have the double coverage. But in business and in accounting specifically, this is what we call segregation of duties. Both sound boring, and they often are, but they aren't boring when someone opens the garage door, someone's late to work, someone's out unexpectedly. So, how, as a cash strapped, lightly staffed small business, do you make sure that you have the coverage that you need to make sure the engine keeps going. So, we're going to talk about today 5 ways that you as a small business can make sure that you have the accounting processes covered, segregation of duties, so that you're not reliant on one person and you have a more resilient business. First, we want to map our financial processes. We want to talk to everyone who does those financial processes, and we want to list out all the things that these people do. Once we've mapped those processes in AP, AR, billing, payroll, reconciliations, reporting, once we've mapped all of those out, we want to force and require documentation of those processes. It can be simple as just a one-page sheet with very simple instructions, or it can be a really detailed SOP. I love a detailed SOP where someone can step in and do that job. That is gold, because now instead of siloed information, you have group and company information. Once we've identified these financial processes, we want to look for the single point of failure. Ask, if this person were gone for 2 weeks, who else can do it? Or ask, if this person is gone for 2 weeks, what stops? And if everything stops or no one else can do it, you know that you need to find a way to create some redundancy in that process. Once we've identified that, we need to think about, what is the minimum viable redundancy within the business. That means cross-training at least one other person and creating an SOP or documentation that writes down what that process looks like. Even 70% proficiency is a win, because it means that if they can get 70% of the way there, they can typically figure out the other 30%. So this is sharing logins. This is SOPs. This is training or periodically switching duties to make sure that other people are still fresh on the way things are done. Number 4, we want to create separations of duties. And so the separation of duties makes sure that we protect ourselves against fraud, protect ourselves against from siloed information. But even with a small team, even if you can't have true separations of duties that you see within a big accounting department, you can have separations of duties where someone receives money, the other one does reconciliations. Someone receives and enters the bills, someone else pays the bills. Or someone does the work and another reviews the work. By having those separation duties in place, you not only protect yourself from fraud or someone stealing, but you automatically have multiple people in the loop of what's going on. So that if one person is gone, the other can take over that part for a short period of time. And then last, we want to make sure, and in some ways this may be even more important, but during annual planning or at some point during the year, we want to create an annual review of those first 4 steps that we talked about. Who's doing everything? What are all the processes? Who has the siloed knowledge? Where's the single point of failure? And then what is the minimum viable cross-training and separation of duties that we can do? We need to see the holes before they happen, because I've seen businesses that didn't do that. And then all of a sudden they can't pay payroll. They're racking up late fees on taxes, sales tax, payroll taxes, other things like that. And it costs them real money and trust with their employees. This sort of coverage provides peace of mind, resilience in the business, and actually generates value for the business in the saving of the costs, but then also the peace of mind or the ability to sell or pass the business down the road. This is where a fractional CFO or an external team is really good. And so if you struggle with this today, I would encourage you to reach out to someone that can do bookkeeping, because with that company, you're going to get built-in redundancy if they're doing their processes right. This is where us as fractional CFOs can often come in and help, is because, again, we create that redundancy. And not only do we create redundancy, but we have multiple people working on accounts that bring multiple experiences and areas of knowledge. And so we can actually provide more than a single person in that position. Providing this coverage, this separation of duties, is what leaders do. And it's designing your business to survive without you or within your short absence. I still got both kids to the zoo that day and nothing went wrong, right? That's often how it is. And so that sort of thing lulls us to sleep for the next time, right? So we think, oh, nothing bad happened. And now we don't prepare and we don't prepare and we don't prepare. And that consistent not preparing means that when something bad does happen, it had to have went really bad and it's one of those catastrophic things. That is what we want to avoid. The best run businesses build systems that still work when you're not in the room. And so let's choose to be that sort of business today. Put down in the comments, when was the last time you had someone go out unexpectedly? How did the business handle it? Let's share this. I'd love to hear some stories here. And please take this to heart. Be serious. Look at your processes, and you'll have a more resilient business and finally have a bit of peace of mind. Thank you for watching.